Hello, my fellow battle sisters. This week will be a fun week. This week we will be looking at the planets of Warhammer. There will be two videos. This video, which is the Primarch's world video, where we look into each world that the Primarch was found on, and the other video will be one of the different types of worlds in Warhammer, in the galaxy, what the Imperium classify as different worlds. So let's get into it. This video will be a description of the homeworlds of the Primarchs. It's going to be fun, kind of a really quick rundown into something that I'm very excited for. I love these types of things. To follow the order of the Primarchs that were found, we'll start with Horus, who was found on Chthoniya. Chthoniya was a barren and impoverished imperial feral world and former mining world upon which Horus was raised when his gestation pod crash-landed there after being stolen and transported through the warp. Chthoniya was destroyed and broke apart sometime after the end of the Horus Heresy during the Great Scouring. Its destruction was caused either by the forces of the Imperium, who sought to destroy any trace of chaos taint in the Emperor's shattered realm, or because the geophysical instability caused by millennium of over-mining within the planet's crust and mantle. Second to be found was Leman Russ on the planet Fenris. Fenris is the death world and the segmentum obscurus, and is the homeworld of the Space Wolves chapter. Fenris takes its name from the mystical Norse wolf fathered by the god of tricksters Loki that would assault the Norse gods during the final battle of Ragnarok. Most of the names of locations on Fenris are drawn from Norse mythology and the language of Old Earth. It is a single moon called Valdermani, the Wolf's Moon. Fenris is situated in the galaxy south of the segmentum obscurus, at the end of the warp rift known as the Eye of Terror, from which of the forces of chaos to raid and pillage. Fenris thus lies at the forefront of Imperial's defense against chaos. Farah Manus was found on Medusa, formerly known as Medusa 6, and is the chapter homeworld of the Iron Hands. The feral world of Medusa is a harsh realm of perpetual gloom situated precariously close to the Eye of Terror and the segmentum obscurus. The sun almost never breaks through the dark and polluted sky as it is consistently churns over a land of frozen mountain ranges, intersped with volcanoes and boiling hot geysers. The landscape is under constant flux, the shifting of tectonic plates forming new mountains and seas, destroying them as quick as they are created. Fulgrim was next to be found, and was found on the planet Chemos. Chemos was once the world of the traitor legion of Emperor's children, and Fulgrim himself. In the ancient days, Chemos was classified as a mining world. By the time of the Great Heresy, it was classified as a civilized world. But following its scouring after the Horus Heresy by loyalist forces of the Imperium, it is now a dead world, wiped clean of all life. Vulcan, one of my favorite Primarchs, was found on the planet of Nocturne and is the home of the Salamander Space Marine chapters. Nocturne is both a feudal world and a death world. As a result of the tectonic stresses produced by the gravitational pull of its overlarge satellite Prometheus, there are vast chains of volcanoes scattered throughout the planet's surface, and frequent earthquakes, destroying what little the Nocturian people have built above ground and forcing them to build their habitats in vast subterranean holds. The constant volcanic eruptions have swaddled the world in an ever-present cloak of dust and ash that obscures most sunlight at the surface. It is also very dangerous to live on because of the large salamanders that live there. It is an interesting planet. Rogel Dorn was found on the planet of Inuit, which is an imperial ice world. Inuit is best known for being the home of Rogel Dorn. The world's population was said to inhabit massive ice hives, and its actual level of technology advancement is unclear. So we don't know a ton about the Inuit planet. It does have tribes and chieftains, but it's not a civilized world. Gilliman was found on the planet Macragge, which is an imperial civilized world located in the southern reaches of the eastern fringe of the galaxy. It is the homeworld of the Ultramarines chapter of Space Marines. Macragge itself is mostly bleak and rocky, with more than 3/4 of its land mass formed in mountains, upland almost entirely devoid of life. The people of Macragge do not live well in this inhospitable region, but the fortress monastery of Ultramarines is built upon a craggy peak surrounded by impenetrable mountains. Magnus was found on the planet Prospero and was the original homeworlds of the Thousand Sons Trader Legion and Magnus the Red. It was a center of knowledge and lore, particularly knowledge of sorcery and the warp before its surface and its planetary capital of Zitcha were scoured by the planetary assault of the Space Wolves just before the start of the Horus Heresy. This assault, remembered as the Battle of Prospero, or the Burning of Prospero, was abetted by Magnus's own arrogance and hubris, and arranged by the War Master Horus, who sought to turn one against the other and drive the Thousand Sons into the arms of chaos. After the Space Wolves' assault, Prospero was declared a dead world by the Imperium, like all the former worlds of the traitor legions. Sanguinius was found on the planet Baal and is the homeworld of the Blood Angels chapter. Baal itself is a dry, dusty desert world, scarcely inhabited by anyone other than mutants and feral animals. However, its two moons, Baal Prime and Baal Secundus, support notable human settlements and were once paradise for mortal men, though now they are classified as savage feral worlds by the Imperium. Little is known about the past circumstances of these two moons, but sometime in the distant past, probably before the Age of Technology and Age of Strife, a cataclysmic conflict arose and led to the widespread use of viral and nuclear weapons of mass destruction, destroying the ecosystems of both satellites and contaminating their biospheres with intense radioactive fallout, chemical pollution, and deadly biological agents. Not the best place to raise a child. Lionel Johnson was found on the planet of Caliban. Caliban was an imperial death world located in the segmentum obscurus to the galactic north of the Eye of Terror. That was once the home of the Dark Angels. Caliban was destroyed during the conflict between Luthor, his corrupt fallen angels, and the Primarch himself, who was trying to stop them in the great conflagration immediately following the Horus Heresy. Perturabo was found on the planet Olympia and was the homeworld of the Iron Wars Traitor Legion. Olympia was an imperial civilized world categorized by a culture of city-states before it was destroyed following the heresy. It was the actions of the Iron Warriors themselves that made the world inhabitable before they fled it during the imperial assault on Olympia. Judged to be afflicted with an irrevocable chaos taint, the Imperium has left Olympia to be a barren, dead world. Mortarion was found on the planet Barbarus. Barbarus is a feral world and one of the home of the traitorous Death Guard. This feral world orbited near a dim yellow sun, which created a thick, mesamic atmosphere of toxic chemicals. The most virulent of these gases rose through Barbarut's perpetual clouds towards the heat of the star, making the world beneath a dismal place of night, unbroken by starlight, and possessed of short, shadowy days. All in all, not your beach vacation. Logar was found on the planet Colchis. Colchis was the imperial feudal world of Logar and the Wordbearers. Colchis was a world governed by a theocracy called the Covenant, dedicated to the worship of polytheistic religion called the Old Faith, which centered on the worship of the Chaos Gods before the arrival of Logar. After the Horus Heresy, the planet was destroyed by exterminatus, an order carried out by the forces of Imperium as the Loyalists sought to purge every source of chaos corruption from the world, including the homeworlds of the traitor legions and heretic Astartes. Khan was found on Mundus Planets. Mundus Planets is the formal Imperial High Gothic name for the feudal world that the inhabitants called Chocorus. Chocorus at present is a fertile world with lush greenery, soaring mountains, and azure seas. Yet for the tribesmen from which the White Scars draw their recruits, it is no paradise. Even before the coming of the forces of chaos, Chocorus offered a harsh, unforgiving existence to these tribes. Kurz was found on Nostromo. Nostromo was the hive world shrouded by perpetual darkness. The world was ultimately destroyed by Cruz himself in the 31st millennium during an orbital bombardment by the Night Lord's fleet as its people betrayed his ideals of doctrine, order, and reverted to the anarchy and criminal lives. A bleak hive world that was perpetually dark due to its polluted, clogged atmosphere and the fact that it circled a slowly dying star whose light was unable to penetrate this haze to reach the surface. The world was barely better lit at noon than at midnight. This shroud of darkness, produced by the massive amounts of toxic smog, kept the planet swathed in dull grays and deep blacks. Only the rich could afford the Nostrum ideal of illumination, which was little more than dim blue illumination strips that were placed in the ceilings of the ruling hierarchy's luxurious dwellings, in the spires of the Dark World's hive cities. Angron was found on the planet of Nucaria. Nucaria was the brutal and unloved homeworld of the World Eaters, Primarch, and the Space Marines. In ancient days, it was classified by the Imperium of Man as a highly technologically advanced civilized world. Though current imperial historical records do not generally state its name, which were expunged from the records following the Horus Heresy. Following its scouring by the World Eaters and the Horus Heresy, it is now categorized as a dead world, wiped clean of all life. And because of this, there is no photo available to me to show you. The last planet I will be going over today was the planet Deliverance, once known as Lucarius, and was the home of Corax. Deliverance is a moon that orbits the hive world of Kivara and is the home world of Corvix. Located in the Segmum Tempus, this airless moon is also home to the Raven Guard, and quite frankly does not look like a place I want to go vacationing. There are, of course, some planets I couldn't go over, such as the 2 Primarchs that we don't speak or know anything about, or Alpharius and Omega's planet, which is still a mystery. But these are the Primarch's planets. The next video I will be going over different types of planets, the different categories. I'm very excited for this week's videos. I love these things. But for now, I must go. If you enjoy what I did, please give the video a like, hit subscribe, let the algorithm know you want more. And I will see you in the next one.